Why, hello, Holly. Thank you so much for, coming on here and having a conversation with me. I've been really excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm excited to be here too.
Mm. So, as you know, this podcast is about our individual healing journey. And I'm wondering if during your lifetime, you've been faced with any kind of physical or mental health challenges. And also within that, what kind of pivotal moments that you've had during those times?
Yeah, it's nice to be able to talk to you now because I feel like I just went through quite a big transformation personally. It definitely came more to the surface, I think, from being an entrepreneur and owning a business. But I'm kind of now in that place of just so much gratitude for it. When you're kind of in it,
Yeah.
it's hard to see the benefit of it. And yeah, I feel like now I'm even so much more prepared for when it's gonna happen again.
Mm.
It's funny, I think there was a time, maybe, gosh, it was kind of at the beginning of Milk Jar, or even before I started it. Just kind of personally went through some things in my family. My parents split up and it was really hard. Like they were together for a long time. I didn't know if that was ever going to happen, and it was also fine at the same time. I was very knowing that they probably weren't the best fit together, and I really had to deal with a lot. Some things surfaced from growing up, and some patterns that I had learned kind of really came out, and I felt then that I really worked through a lot of things, and then I thought my healing journey was over.
As we do.
It's
We're like,
so
yeah, nailed it.
yeah.
Let's
Oh
go.
my gosh, and now going through it just again now, 7 years later at 34 years old, I was like, "Oh gosh, it is." When they say it's a journey, it you how I see it now, I'm like, "Oh, you scratch the surface and you chip away, and you go deeper, and then you chip away again, and then something else comes up and you chip away even more, and it's ongoing." And there's a little bit of like, I think I felt a little like I can't just figure it out and then figure it out once and then have be good and be, peaceful, and everything's just going to be easy peasy. But also, I think at the same time, there's a lot of like excitement in that too. There's whenever you're going through something, there's always an opportunity to learn more about yourself. Uh, the inward work is tough,
Mhm.
but it's so good. So yeah, kind of more recently, I think it really revealed a lot with managing people and working alongside a lot of different folks, and needing to have this feeling of being a mentor and being a guide and motivating people. It's can be a lot of pressure. So I
Mhm.
think sometimes with entrepreneurship, it's almost like, yeah, you got to be ready to, it takes a certain type of person to run a business for sure. But it
Mhm.
also, like, you need to be really open to look at yourself as well, and be okay with doing the wrong thing and looking inward and seeing how you can make those changes moving forward, and always growing too. Like, you're not perfect, and maybe sometimes we view people in certain places in our lives, like I would say, teachers growing up, or coaches I had, or my parents, or a boss. They kind of all fall in this area of they should know better. They
Yeah.
should know best, I think, from the people that are learning from them. And I
Mm.
really am trying to be really gentle on myself now and understand that, I will be very open with my team that sometimes I don't know best, and I'm a human as well. And I make the wrong choices sometimes, and just having that grace and compassion. I do it with my staff. I really try really hard, and um it's really nice when they can kind of have that for you, and because it really is what helps the growth process, when we have understanding for one another, when we create those safe spaces, when
Mm.
we're not coming from a place of having huge expectations for people, and understanding that everyone makes mistakes. So yeah, more recently, I feel like I've been kind of transitioning this in the last year and a half, but what really has supported me was something I did. It's called the presence process. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a
Mm,
book
I have heard of it, but
written by
please
Michael.
tell us more.
Yeah, so it's a book written by Michael Brown and a process, I guess. So it's all about coming to present moment awareness
Mm,
and how we can find that within ourselves. And basically it says like the reason for most of our suffering, most of our reactivity is when we live in time. We
mm,
like keep thinking about the past, when we keep worrying about the future and not just being in the here and now. And it's a guide, a 10-week breathing guide on how to achieve present moment awareness and not try to push away these feelings that seem negative or unbecoming of a boss or something. It's about allowing them, letting them pass through, feeling them, not giving them a whole lot of weight sometimes, but knowing that they are messengers to understand deeper
mm.
about us and our, upbringing and things that we've taken on and maybe behaviors that we're, wanting to work on more and just allowing them to feel them. What does it say in the book? Once you do the process, it says this isn't you shouldn't be entering this to try to feel better. It's to try to
Mm.
get better at feeling.
I
I was like,
love
because
that.
that's what we do as a society. We suppress all the time. We just
Yeah.
things are going on and we push it down and then we blame and deflect and don't take the responsibility. And we really can't push other people to see something. It's all about us, handling things in a better way that's just healthier and still allowing the feelings to happen, but maybe not giving them as much weight and as much of the story, the mental story we tell ourselves about them. So I just started that process just last November and I finished
Mm.
in February and it was pretty powerful for me. It was I'm gonna actually do it again pretty soon here because it's something that is lifelong, just like how I said I didn't realize healing was lifelong. I thought I could just figure it out one time. But it's been really good. It's the breathing exercises that I've been doing and just the looking inward and a part of the presence process too is about how do we achieve this without therapy, without healing ceremonies, without psychedelics. There's things that bring us into present moment awareness, but really we have the answers within ourselves if
Yeah.
we're willing to do that, put that work in. And what a just joy and delight when we can have that power and that strength to figure out what's going on with us and ourselves. And yes, it doesn't mean that therapy and ceremonies and certain things are um not good to do, but we don't have them every day.
Yeah.
You don't It's not like you can't talk to your therapist every single day. I don't think you can anyways. It might be very expensive.
That'd be very expensive.
Yeah, I don't think it's recommended to do like psychedelics every single day in real life.
Nope,
Like,
definitely not.
um, no. So, but it's like we have these experiences that can bring us into this present moment awareness, but then there's also work we can do every day of just breathing, of
Yeah.
just taking a step back, talking to yourself, having that moment with yourself and working through it and working through your feelings. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been
Mm.
doing lately.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing all of that, Holly. I think you've touched on just so many juicy parts of the healing journey. Or number one, it never ends.
Oh,
It's, yeah,
it's
you
yeah, I
know,
was like, but that's also cool at the same
yeah,
time.
exactly. I tend to look at it more these days like learning how to feel feelings, learning how to be more present, learning how to always find and look for the things that make me curious and excited, while also looking at the things that hurt, that don't feel so good. When you really
Mhm.
spotlighted something, I think that so many entrepreneurs struggle with. I know that I did when I was responsible for employees. When you're trying to be in this role of, again, mentoring and managing yourself while also managing other folks and trying to create these spaces where people feel comfortable, it's really hard to do sometimes when we're struggling. And so often we can pedestal people, like you mentioned, right? It's like my therapist, obviously they don't have any problems. Or my coach, obviously they're not going through a journey of their own, and it's just so far from the truth. We have to bring back this element of how can our humanity come first in the workplace? How can we look at another human being and say, I'm struggling, I'm doing the best that I can, and yes, I'm not going to get it right all of the time. It takes a certain amount of vulnerability and a willingness to meet ourselves and those around us like where we're at. And that's such a brave and lovely and painful and scary thing.
All of the things.
All of the things. And I think it just better equips us at the compassion and the empathy that's required to be able to be with other people and be able to see someone else's struggles and show up in a way that is kind, that is understanding. So I just really wanted to
Mhm.
highlight those things. And another thing that you mentioned about even just experiencing your parents' divorce when you were older. I mean, it doesn't not hurt no matter how old we are. And even if
It's
we
the
know
little
it's for the
kids that
best, yeah. Even if
it's
we're
that
like,
inner
yeah, this thing needs to happen, it still doesn't make it, it doesn't take away the pain of and the grief that comes with an ending.
yeah, totally. It's hard. I think I've been trying to do a little bit more of the my own like inner child work, and it's taken me. I don't know. There might be something about your 30s. I don't know. Like I feel like it took a while to get here, and
Yeah.
I think it's a theme I've heard and seen with a few more of the people around me at this age. And I think though too, like sometimes I get up on myself where I'm like, gosh, if only I did this sooner.
Yeah.
If only I did this sooner. But I'm like, I think enough life has to happen too. Enough
Yeah.
experiences, enough messengers, enough reflections and projections, and enough repeating the same things for you to realize, oh, I'm repeating patterns, or hey, maybe this is a me problem. And oftentimes there's like are the issues that we have. It is us. It's not, or these things that seem like, I think that's what kind of came up to me with a few, it was like last summer. I was like, why does this keep happening? Like, I think I'm a
Mm,
good person and I think I do the right things, but why do I feel responsible for other people's happiness? Like that was kind of
mhm,
it. And I'm like, or I'm like attracting these people, but I'm like, yeah, maybe attracting it, but I think I'm attracted to them too. Like I think, and
mhm.
then really it comes from, okay, let's reflect. Let's look at it. What has happened in my life? What has been kind of brought up in my childhood of, maybe feeling responsible for other people's happiness, which is, allowed me to push away down my needs and just try to make everyone around me happy. And it really doesn't make everyone happy and it doesn't make you happy. And then when you're not happy, you become resentful. And yeah, just taking that time to be like, what is going on? And to do that though, you need space. I think a huge thing
Mm,
why this took so long was a lot of the things I was going through, I was so busy with work,
yeah.
so busy with like I didn't I felt like I didn't take the time to be alone. I probably was honestly suppressing working on it too.
Yeah.
Like I would be working all the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then because maybe I wasn't ready to have a big cry about myself, have a big cry about like, okay, it's me too. But I think with time, like you become more gentle to yourself and
Yeah.
just think of how hard we are on are on other people. And
Yeah.
it's like it's not about being hard on yourself and feeling a ton of shame. It's about just recognizing like you get why you've done the things you've done. You get why, you're a part of it. You're a part of the story you're creating. It's
Yeah.
not that everything is happening to you, and these things that you're kind of bringing on or that don't feel great, you do have a responsibility a little bit to reflect, to
Mm.
understand, to see how you're contributing. It's not, it doesn't mean that these things happening outside are good and you're just the
Mhm.
bad thing. It's like maybe these are relationships you need to shed, but also there was something in you that it fed. It fed this, like, this story that you've been telling, this, this persona that you thought you needed to uphold, and why. And if you really want it to stop happening, I think that's where I came to. It was just like certain things were constantly happening where I was just like, hey, maybe I'm the problem. And I
Yeah.
literally had a big cry. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm the problem. And I was like, and then cried about it and then let it pass through. It didn't
Mm.
last forever. And I was like, okay, like it's not a problem. It's just like I'm contributing. I'm also a piece of this too. And there is something I've gotten from it. But I'm really ready to not take this on anymore. But then you come through a bit of an identity crisis
Yeah.
when,
Hmm.
oh gosh, and that's kind of really what I'm moving through now. I think this, like, wait, but I've been this person. It's no longer serving me very well. But who am I if I'm not putting all these people's needs before my own? Will people leave me? Will people not want to be around me? That's kind of what I've offered. And maybe that's why I had like a lot of people really enjoy being around me.
Yeah.
But I don't, it's just a fear though. That's also not being present. Because
Yeah.
then you start fearing that, like, who am I if I'm not, doing the things that I've used to be doing? And I mean, when you do view other people's stories and you hear about it, it's so much better. Like, it's not the people that are meant to be in your life, the situations that you're meant to like be in, they will stick around. And yeah, it might feel a little bit lonely. It might feel a little bit like you're turning over that new leaf and maybe you haven't completely settled in to that new way of being,
Hmm.
but it will come. And really trying to honor right now the resting period of this, the slowdown, the like
Mm.
more time, because I do need that time to talk to myself. So even if things seem like I'm trying not to confuse peace or peace with boredom right now.
Yes.
Because I think
Yeah.
my life's been kind of like this a little bit, and there's been a lot of things, and I'm like, hey, peace is good, and it's not boredom.
Hmm. Well, and within that, I also believe that it becomes kind of nice to feel a little bit bored. If I think about myself as a kid, or even just the kids that I see now with the screens and not just being outside, the things that I created and the things that I most loved was when I was just outside being bored. And then something would arise out of that boredom, whether it was like, I'm going to go roll in the mud, or I'm going to like create a like WWF wrestling ring in my backyard so my friends can come over and play in this. I think that there is peacefulness in boredom, and I think a lot of creativity can come from just like you said, like that self reflective space where you're no longer who you were, but you're not quite the person that you're becoming either. But
Yeah,
even
it's
though you
funny.
are, you are all those things simultaneously. And it can get so lonely and can feel isolating because within that, especially if we're used to just saying yes all the time or always giving way to other people's needs. And then finally, we're taking a step back for ourselves, people and situations can drop away. And that can feel really, really painful. And the way I look at it now is it's just making more space for the
Yeah.
life circumstances, for the friendships, for the deep intimacy to come in. And
Yes.
so, but you can't skip the pain. There's no skipping it,
No, you can't, unfortunately, but it's a
unfortunately.
part of it. It makes you, I mean, it makes you appreciate it too so
Yeah.
much more. It's like can't have the highs without the lows sometimes, it's that
Yeah.
dichotomy at the same time. So it's beautiful. It's yeah, it's a nice it's a nice thing when you start feeling feeling like the hard times are essential.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you start welcoming them a little bit more. And then you start learning what you need. You're like, oh, going through this, need to slow down, need to spend time with myself, need to say no to some things. And,
Yeah.
it's part of the process, and it's part of me being my best self
Yeah.
for the people around me, for my business, for my partner, for myself. Like it's essential and it's not mean.
No, no. And I love when that shift is made. I still remember when the first time I started putting myself first and had a similar experience of, oh my God, like people are just like, they only love me because I'm doing things for them and always saying yes. And like, what is this going to look like on the other side of that? And oh man, it's so much better. For those of you wishing to dive into the world of somatic healing and get a taste of what it's like to discover the wisdom of your body, I'm offering $100 off my signature course, Reclaiming Resilience, to the listeners of this episode. It is a self paced 5-week course that teaches you how to be with big emotions and sensations. It expands your capacity for more joy, more love, and more pleasure, while you also learn how to access your boundaries, intuition, and build safety within your body. Essentially, you'll be learning how to harness the power of your nervous system and welcome in more clarity, authentic communication, and fulfilling relationships. In the program, we are changing the way that we perceive ourselves, our patterns, and our limiting beliefs, as well as finding our unique voice. Use the code all caps feel good at checkout. And for those of you who are seeking one on one support, I also offer coaching and therapy packages and one on one sessions. I'll pop all of that information in the show notes. And now let's get back to the show.
So much better. And you know
So
what?
much
And
better.
you will have some people that don't like it.
Oh,
Like sometimes
totally.
you think like, oh, most people are going to be okay with it, and
Uh-uh.
but it's the people that aren't meant to be around you,
That's right.
that aren't okay with it, that maybe benefited from, your leniency, or your, catering, or your people pleasing, and there are people, that really do enjoy that, and that is what's hard. I think right now I'm kind of going through that feeling of, having some people in my life not be on board with it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. And then you think, from my past, I'm like, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Someone's
Yeah.
mad at me.
Yeah.
Someone's not happy with what me sticking up for kind of my needs and my requests. And they're not happy. And then you think, like, the feeling of someone being unhappy with you, oh gosh, for me, it's just like, it totally stems from my childhood.
Yeah. As it
But
does for
then when
most
you
folks.
realize
Yeah.
why, yeah, but then when you realize why and where it comes from, you're like, oh, this isn't a typical feeling that I need to feel. Like, this isn't what everyone feels like when they set a boundary and someone
That's
doesn't like
right.
it. Like, some people are very much like, that's okay. We don't have to kind of keep doing this. You
Yeah.
can go on your way and I'm going to go on mine. Whereas I'm just like, no, I need everyone on my way. I need everyone to like me. I need everyone to think I'm super duper nice and I'm super caring. And you don't need that. You don't.
No.
And it's part of just understanding like where that comes from, and 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 just hugging that person, like just being like, it's
Yeah.
okay that this is the way things were,
Yeah.
and it doesn't need to continue. Because I feel like when people have that feeling of stuck, like I've had that feeling before,
Mm-hmm.
where I didn't think, like, I just was like, this is the way it is, this is the way I am, this is the way, the stress I'm going to feel,
Yeah.
because this is the way I'm supposed to be, it's the
Yeah.
right way to be. And then starting to unravel that and being like, and question it, and be curious, like you
Mm-hmm.
said.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, it's not an easy thing to go through, but it's so essential.
Yeah. And it especially hits harder when it's people that have been around for a long time, or perhaps someone that we've considered an intimate, close friendship or whatever that looks like. And so, again, it brings up this this new ability to be able to handle conflict. And
Yes.
that takes boundaries. That takes being able to stand up for who we are becoming and moving past all of these things that have hurt us in the past that are controlling our present and our future, leading us into places of this is just the way it is. Been there. I'm like, I don't know.
Yep.
When I'm in this scenario, this is just how I feel. And this is just what I do, you know?
Yep.
And then it wasn't until I was actually ready to start looking at those things where it's like, oh my God, no, this isn't the way. Yeah, not everyone feels like this in this kind of situation. Not everyone shrinks or, feels completely overwhelmed by having to say no or having to challenge someone on something. And so, what a beautiful process to become aware of that. And I think you said something also really important about resentment. Anytime that resentment bubbles up, it's a pretty clear indicator of a need not being met,
Yeah. Hmm.
you know?
And what a joy to realize that it's in your power. Like
Exactly.
it's not someone else's job. It's your
Mm-hmm.
job. And that personal responsibility of the quality of your life is something that I've been really like I've just been
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I think, and that is, it's part of the journey. Like I didn't always think that. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was other people's job
Yeah, me too. I'm like,
and
it's you.
to behave, yes, to behave differently, to be more like me, essentially, or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know. And just, yeah. But then that's what boundaries are. And then just understanding that it's like the quality of my life is completely in my power. It's completely in my control. Um, obviously things come up, like there's external things, but not letting those external things like affect you as much, and knowing that
Mhm.
you have a choice every day in what you do. Your life is a choice. How you view life is a choice.
Yeah.
Choosing to be happy is a
Yeah.
choice. And it doesn't mean that everything in your life is always going perfectly, because that's just not what life's about. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to. I truly believe that we're here to go through all these things, go through all these kind of experiences to help bring our souls, if you will, like into that new state of consciousness and awareness. And, I do believe that, our souls have more than one life, and
Mhm.
we kind of keep choosing to come back to earth and go through, what is it called? Earth school?
Yeah.
What do they call it? Earth school.
Yeah.
And when you view life, like, as I know, it's the world's tough right now. I think it's always been tough for a while.
Mhm.
I think there's more of a lens and an awareness of the challenges going on, which I think is important with social media, with the internet. Like, we know of so much happening. There's
Yeah.
a lot we don't know that's happening, but we do know a lot more. And that has made, I think, it feel pretty like pretty uncomfortable.
Mm.
Ignorance is bliss. And I think us as humans have been in an ignorant stage for a very long time
Yeah.
on really what's going on. And it's not that things maybe are worse. We don't really know, but I think there's a lens on it. And that's challenging because it's super stressful. Like this world doesn't create, have the same opportunities for everyone. Um, and I think we can get really bogged down by what's happening, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless, whatever's happening politically, anything going on in this world right now. You could just name anything in any subject, and there's something that's like pretty oppressive to a lot of people, and not based on love, not based on, supporting one another. And we can have that feeling of being helpless and hopeless and like it's never going to change. I think we're moving into a different place. Who knows where it's going to go to, but
Mhm.
it's going to take time. And I also feel like I understand it's kind of what this world is. It's challenging.
Mhm.
It's school. It's, can you still practice compassion and love when you're really beaten down and when you're really not feeling that for other people? how do you still show up for yourself and show up for the people around you and spread that love to whatever community you have, to either your family, to either your workplace, to it doesn't it's hard. Sometimes we think we're like, oh, we just wish we could just heal the world and just make
Mhm.
this world like better. But I'm just one person, and then that healing doesn't put you in a place to like, hey, like I have a job to do in the community I've created, in the world that I've
Right.
created, and this is what I can control.
Yeah.
Practicing love, loving one another. Yeah, it's just like not having prejudice as well. Loving the people, like the hardest thing, and like I think this is what they consider maybe enlightenment, but loving people that are very, very, very maybe challenging to love
Mhm.
still. And that's really one day where I don't know if I'll ever get there. I think I can. I hope so. But just having that awareness of compassion and understanding for the people around me, like and that it's not no one's fault. It's no one's fault for what we're going through and the experience. And we're all in our different lessons, learning them. And yeah, it's not taking things on it's that aren't ours. It's always trying to live to support the world that you wish you could live in, you
Mm.
know? And that involves caring for one another and understanding and having boundaries, but you know, just ensuring that you're protecting your energy and you're giving out the best energy that you can all the time.
Yeah. Well, and also within that, and I think I had chatted with James Olivia on my podcast a little while ago about this idea of you don't have to like someone in order to want what's best for them, meaning that we don't have to like everyone and not everyone has to like us in order for us to want people to have enough food, to be thriving, to be well, to have health care, to have equality. That is the humanness in us, the connection. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we do this work is so we can see beyond our limitations. We can see beyond the things that we were taught or the things that we internalize that maybe aren't working so well for us now, so that we can unlearn the shit that's not helping us in this part of our journey. And I know that like you're championing, oh my God, I can't even say the word, championing this right now in the workplace. Being
Yeah.
able to have inclusive spaces where, like, when I go on Milk Jar's site on Instagram, I'm like, this is good. Like, people are having fun, people are connecting. And although I'm sure it's not like that all the time, creating a community like that takes work and it takes practice and it takes unlearning and relearning how to treat each other in a way that is, like you said, compassionate and kind, and being able to meet people where they are at and listen to people and truly hear each other out. And so I'm also wondering within that if you've noticed a big shift since doing this work within your connections at work and within your
Mm.
connections with your partnerships and in your friendships. Like, what are the things that you've noticed that you have, I don't know, more space for, or just, yeah, it's nuanced. So I'm sure there's many.
Totally. I since doing this work, it has really helped me clear clear the crap. I don't know, like in a sense, like my emails sometimes. Like it's really made me look at what is important,
Mm,
like what is and it's challenging sometimes because it's all about balance. It's not that any one thing is more important than the other.
yeah,
The business doing well and being financially successful is important.
yeah,
It's not the only thing.
right.
Also, our team being able to come to a safe space and have their voices heard when they need an accommodation is definitely important. But there's always things that are about balance. And it's like we're always still trying to figure out, like, we never want to swing one way. And my
Mm-hmm.
business has swung both ways a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, where play came first, work came second. And then we've gone sometimes in periods where, that was so out of balance
Right.
that it was conducive to a good work environment, because at the end
Right.
of the day, we're still a business, we're
Yeah.
still a workplace. And I always try to give a lot of understanding to my team, because communication's everything. And I don't always communicate everything, but when I do, I
Mm,
really try to let them know, like, by wanting people to work effectively to the best of their ability. That is all I ask for. To the best of your ability, work effectively. If you need an accommodation, if you need to leave early, if you need a longer lunch break, you just communicate it. Just let me know.
mm,
And usually we can make it happen as long as it works.
yeah.
It's it's just so it's so important to have that like nice blend and balance,
Mm,
because we have to ensure that the accommodation works for everyone. That's kind of something I've realized, like sometimes there's always a balance of people to really understanding and respecting that certain things are not to be taken advantage of, but you're always going to have people, because people are complex, that people that see things as I can push the envelope a little bit.
yeah.
So how can we always make sure that we're in balance, that we're treating everyone as equally as possible? An accommodation, I've kind of said this, if I can make the accommodation for everyone, then I will do it. Like if it's if it's an accommodation that you're requesting that is not good for the business or you, or it's something I really could not offer everyone, then that would be a little bit challenging. I always want to look through the lens of, you know, if someone left their work at Milk Jar and they got a job somewhere else, did I set them up for success to know what is expected of them and how to come to work and present themselves in a workplace?
Mm,
Because that's still really important. Like, not every workplace is going to be like Milk Jar. Where we are, like, people can listen to their headphones and podcasts while they're working. We are super lenient on things. People can really ask for things, but not many other businesses do this. And it doesn't mean that we can't be like that, but it means that we have to let them know, like, hey, this is what we're doing. It needs to be respected as well. It's a really amazing thing that we're offering, but a lot of other businesses may not offer this. So how we keep it going and how it works for us, and where you go into new workplaces, that you're still coming to work, ready to work on time, ready to work to the best of your ability, ready to
mm,
come in a positive attitude. And that's what's really important. But we can still do, like, celebrate birthdays, and you can ask for some flexibility if that is what's best for you, and we can work at it together. But it is, everything I've really realized is about balance. You cannot swing one way. You can't be a business that lets the team just dictate and decide how they work and what they do, because
right.
structure is still really important, and we do have a business to run and customers to take care of. But you also can't be this like rigid place that doesn't care about connecting and just wants people to come in, not talk to anyone, get the work done, and get as quick as they can and get out of here. That's not what we want either. It's a
Mhm.
balance of both. And having people, learn to come in and love what they're doing is also a challenge of that too, because like work's work. We
Yeah.
do, I mean, it's nice when you purpose in your work, but I'll be honest, I had a lot of jobs when I was in my 20s that I did not care about. And it was a paycheck. And I'm also very understanding why people are really here is to, I'm sure no one here would volunteer to work at Milk Jar. Like
Right.
we need to pay to live. We need to support ourselves. It's great if we can do work that we care about as well. But in a nutshell, people are here to support themselves at the
That's
same
right.
time, and hopefully do it in a place that they believe in as well. But that is what's essential. Like, people need to take care of themselves and need to pay the bills and pay for their rent, because it's the whole reason why we work. And
Totally.
I'm also not, naive to think that people are just coming to our business just because of our what we do. Like, people, there's always a personal reason behind it, as well as there should be, which I think makes me see their side of things as well. I think I've had bosses in my past where they just thought they were giving their employees a gift to work at their
Yeah.
company. And it's like, well, like, I mean, yeah, it's a good thing to offer a job, but it's like, it's a gift to you because it's your business and it's your purpose and your passion, which is amazing. You have people that want to support you in it and offer their skills, but really they're here because they need to take care of themselves and they want to live a good life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not naive to that as well. Yeah, it's just that balance, understanding, figuring out that balance is that little pendulum is always going to be swinging, and hopefully we'll get it still one day, but we also may not, and that's okay.
Well, yeah. And people, like you said, are people. People go to work because we need money. We need groceries. We need to support our families. And it's an extra bonus if you can come into a place where you can listen to podcasts and ask for time off and, just have a little fun. Because I mean, a job, a lot of people are there anywhere between 5 and 9 hours a day. And so if you can't show up to a place that you're at least somewhat excited about going to or hanging out with the people that work there and you enjoy their company, that just makes it like a sludge. And so to be able
Yeah,
to know that that's something that you want to create and to be able to create that alongside with you've done a lot of work with charity, including that inclusive employment program, which I mean, I'd love to know more about because it kind of speaks to everything that you're speaking to. And I think that bringing this back to being on a healing journey, it's like the more that we heal internally, the more we want to support ourselves and our community in a way that feels expansive and supportive and giving. And we change our own little bubble. We have
yeah.
control over that little bubble, the things that we're putting out there and how we're treating people and how we're treating ourselves. So, yeah,
I think people don't realize how much, like how I was kind of talking about before, it's where we can feel helpless and hopeless on
yeah,
what to do externally.
that's right.
But I think this is something I've realized is it starts with you, like
That's right.
you doing that work, you understanding yourselves, you giving yourself compassion and love and forgiving yourself and looking at the things you do that you're not maybe the most proud of, but with love, and then making those changes and accepting feedback and
Yeah,
you figuring out the things that you are ingrained in you that you've learned because you were scared when you were a kid or something happened. You doing that work is what will infect the world around you, like
exactly.
infect your community, like it will spread, and it's someone showing another person a little bit of compassion that
Yeah.
can move mountains, honestly. Like even when someone has done something that typically maybe most people would just cast them aside or something, but giving them that feedback and saying, hey, this upset me, but hey, I want to talk about it and I want to give
Mhm.
you feedback and we can move on from this.
That's right.
And but like I just need to give you this awareness,
Yeah.
talking about those things and not just like, being hateful or hurtful or and just like, blaming and deflecting and just like really ostracizing someone. That is what keeps someone in this space of like needing to protect themselves because they're being attacked and
Yeah.
not working on themselves. And it's when you kind of approach things in this way where you're like, where people haven't really felt that before, and it's like, wow, like I'm willing to look at myself and look at the things I've done
Yeah.
because someone created a safe space for me to tell me about it, and where I don't feel like attacked or like I'm a bad person.
Mm.
Really that, and then they start going through that personal journey of like, hey, it's okay for me to say I'm sorry. It's okay for me to do that. And because this person's allowed me to say I'm sorry, and I don't feel this need to protect myself because they're like coming at me angry and attacking me and saying I did all these things wrong. And I haven't always done this. And I've seen now, like when people have shown me compassion, I'm just like, it's it's done more than someone coming and yelling at me that I've messed up.
Totally. Yeah.
And once someone does that for you, like I've even reflected that like I need to do that for other people.
Yeah.
Like it's what I want. I'm so grateful that some people in my life have shown me love when trying to give me some critical feedback,
That's right.
and that has done more for my growth and more for changing, the situation or whatever, or the circumstance. And that's where change happens. That's where we can maybe have a little bit of maybe control of the outcome. It's like that saying, you catch more flies with honey,
Mm.
or bees with honey, flies
Yeah.
with honey. I don't know, one of those things, but
Both.
it is. kindness really goes a long way. And, it's not going to work every time, not going to work, but that's okay. But it feels better to treat people that way. And it feels better for me. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I love when people just come with understanding and compassion for me as, a human being as well that can make mistakes and that's willing to listen. So I really try to do that for other people. And that's how we can change the world around us. I mean, even if it's just a small little area, even if it's just in your family,
Yeah.
it makes a difference.
Yeah, especially in the family. Oh my God, it's so huge. And there's no way for us individually to do this kind of work and not have the ripple effect of those around us noticing. We're all feeling each other. We're all, like you said, it's like we can come at a situation or come at a person with contempt and assumptions, or we can come
Yep.
at it with curiosity and compassion and a willingness to have a hard conversation. And that's a different way to come at something, a conversation. And so, but that also comes with being able to hold the discomfort that lives within us.
Yes. And that's the hardest thing. I I think what's Brene Brown say? I think I was like listening to one of her talks, but choose uncomfortability over resentment. Whenever she has
Okay.
to like make a decision, say yes or no to something, she just thinks like choose uncomfortability over resentment, and then that
Right.
helps guide her choice on what she's
Exactly.
gonna do, and just
Yeah.
taking that space to really think about what you're doing.
Exactly. And dang, it's not easy. If I think about marriage and partnerships and, you know, feeling something, but being really afraid to talk about the truth that resides in that feeling. It's so easy just to go back to being the people that we were rather than the people that we know that we want to step into that have different desires and wants and needs and all of these things. And so yeah, it's an interesting thing to come into contact with, especially within our friendships and our partnerships, this ability to be able to not only have these hard conversations, but to be able to be with the outcome, whatever that might be.
And yeah, the hard, like when you do a really hard thing, it gets easier. Like once you do it, you expand, what is it? Your intuitive fence, like something, it's like we have this fence of what's possible is on the inside and impossible is on the outside.
Yeah.
But if you expand that fence and that idea of like, no, what's impossible, I can do, it is achievable. Your fence gets bigger, and then what's impossible is now way out here. And then it's your life becomes so much richer when you know, you can look at things that scare you and even give them life. Like, ooh, this is gonna sting or this is
Yeah.
gonna hurt, but you see it as the world's not gonna end.
That's
And
right.
also, if someone, and also think of the outcome. Let's just take a partner by chance. Okay, I'm going to tell my partner that, I'm not happy in this
Yeah.
relationship or something. I'm going to say I'm not happy and I'm going to say this big thing. And, the worst thing that can happen is, they leave me or they don't listen to me. And that if that's what you're scared of, but then if you actually think about it, it's like, okay, I'm saying a need and just trying to have an open, real conversation. If your partner's going to leave you for that, they're probably not the person that you should be having your life with. Like they're
Exactly.
not that person. Like they're not creating a safe space. They're not coming at you with no judgment, right? And sometimes it's like easier to be like, oh, but I don't want to know that that could be the outcome because then my
Exactly.
life has to be blown up because you got to
Hmm.
blow your life up at that. Blowing your life up really isn't that. Sometimes it's a little exciting, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's just that, like, you know what? You know who I'm here for? I'm here for me. I'm here to spread love, spread joy, be as good as I can. And the people around me, I want to be doing the same thing. They're here for
Mm.
them, and they're spreading that love and they're spreading that joy. And they can, have difficult conversations because I want to have difficult conversations. Like I know that makes me better. So I want that in my partner. I want that in my staff. I want that in, and it's not that they have to have it right away, but they're willing to work on it. They're willing to try. They're willing to see the benefit of it because yeah, it's not that scary, really.
Mm-mm.
It's once you do it a couple times, it gets easier and your life just gets better. And You start living a life that you were meant to be living.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that saying of everything that is easy was once hard. It's just like we learn by
It
moving
was.
towards the things that scare us. And you're speaking directly to like building capacity to be with our own emotions, with other people's emotions, and to be able to hold this container of, okay, like this is something I had to do. So now, if it's something that you have to do, I can hold the space for that. I can hold the space for you to be able to be in that hard spot, which is absolutely such an incredible gift. It's like the gift.
Oh my gosh, it is. It really, when you, I mean, we're human beings that love connection, and we need connection for survival. We do.
Mhm.
We need people in our life. So when you already know you have someone safe that you can like trust, who's gonna be okay with this hard stuff as you work through this hard stuff,
Yeah.
like what a joy. So doing getting yourself there so
Yeah.
you can be that for other people is literally how we're going to change the world, and how we're going to live in a place that we can handle things and we can live like better lives. It doesn't mean hard things are not going to happen though. Oh
Yeah.
my god, they are going to happen. There's going to be things that come up. There's going to be things completely out of our control, and it's going to happen. Like that, we can work through it together, and we can feel it, and we can just hold space and have understanding for one another. It's just so amazing. And then when these hard things come up, we're willing to feel it. We're willing to see if we're responding or are we reacting. We're
Mm.
willing to do the work to make sure we can be in a state of response, so that we don't become victims, we don't become voyagers, we just stay in the space of just being love. That's
Yeah.
it. And trying our hardest. And this doesn't mean we're going to feel love all the time, but always trying
Mm.
to oscillate back into that space is kind of where I've come to. And it's been, in terms of like work, like I, it's truly changed my life, like doing the inner work I've done. I've done the therapy. Presence process was after a year and a half of like figuring out my past a little bit, but maybe my past, when I was looking at it, it was more of a blame game for me. It was
Yeah.
more of a, this is what happened to me, and meh, 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 like all these things that I was just like mad. I was mad at people around me, mad at people in my life. And it was though part of the process.
Yeah.
It's okay. I needed to feel that. I needed to feel that anger. I needed to, have play that blame game. I needed to be looking at it. At least it was getting me into reflecting
That's
and
right.
looking at it. So that's where it started. I maybe wasn't responding. I was reacting at the time, but now it's truly is a journey. And as you just keep looking at it and keep going and keep trying to ask yourself questions and sit with yourself, eventually you'll start asking more questions of like, hey, like, maybe I need to look at this differently because it's still happening.
Yeah.
Why is it still happening? Why am
Yeah.
I still struggling with this? And yeah, and then it's the powers in you, and then it's really helped me, you know, just ride the tides of business, of life, and I feel like I've been taking the right things seriously,
Yeah.
and I've been taking the non-essential things, the silly things not as seriously. Yeah,
Mm.
it's really is a I think I'm still in the space of moving through it, but I think it's helping me have more boundaries that are appropriate, that are kind, communicating a lot more, having understanding a lot more, and just not living in this like worry of the future. I mean, with business, when you own your own business, like worrying about the future is something that kind of comes with it. It removes you from enjoying what's happening today. And so much good stuff is happening today. We get really amazing, customer emails that come in of people just loving what we're doing. We do so much donating, like you were saying. And, the organizations that we donated to this past year, we donated outside of Alberta for the first time. So anywhere where
Amazing.
purchases were made, if it was like a substantial amount, like around $1,000 or like 800, we then donated back into that place. So I think we donated to two organizations in the States. We donated to Melly's Cafe in Toronto, a big one because we have so many Toronto purchases. And I really was like, I want, when people make purchases, I want money to go back in their community. So, and then, yeah, Melly's was just like blown away, and they're an inclusive cafe and they do amazing work experience program at Milk Jar. Hopefully this year, if I have the time and I have the support here, we can work it out. But it's that's what's present, that's what's happening, that's what's known. So why not enjoy it and stop worrying about, I don't know, some potential hazard or whatever that could happen when we're doing everything in our power to have it not happen, but it could be out of our control. And that has made me, I think less stressed here. Like there's periods where I've been really stressed that Milk Jar of that worry.
Yeah.
And that people feel it. That
Oh,
energy spreads
totally.
in a workplace, and it's not conducive to a good working environment.
Yeah. I mean, God, everything that you just shared. Everybody, get into
Is
the
it
present
good?
moment. The
Oh my
present
gosh, it
moment.
changes your life. And it's fun. Yeah, just be present. And I mean, I've heard that for so long. Like, just be
Yes.
present, just be present. And I was like, how the hell do I just be present? Like, it's like almost like you can snap your fingers and be present. It's like,
Yeah.
it's really hard when we've been living in a world and grew up in this society where it's constantly about the future, the future, the future.
Yes.
Like, think about where you want to go to school, think about what career you're going to have. Like, even like not embracing the time that you're in when you're a kid. Like, I remember even just so much feeling like, oh, I want to be older. I want to be older. And you know, it's really how you, I mean, if you want to look at the presence process, you can look it up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
doing this 10-week breathing exercise. So it was, I don't meditate, or I haven't ever, but it was just more breathing. So it was 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, before bed. So right when you wake up, right before you go to bed, and you breathe for 15 minutes, and it's not any certain type of breathing. It's
Beautiful.
literally just life breathing, just
Yeah.
how to live. So it's not hard to do. It's just reminding you to come back. I am here now in this. And with each breath, I am here now in this. And it just brings you back down into that. And it really does work where you carry it with you throughout your day. Like, I didn't believe any of that stuff, that it was gonna, okay, I'll breathe for 15 minutes and then I'm gonna forget about it right away. And it really does kind of change you. Like, and I do understand why the process was now 10 weeks, because you're
Mm.
supposed to keep at it, and so that you repeat when you're conscious in the week. And it's
Mm.
really all about being accepting that hard moments happen, and forgiving yourself, and looking back at kind of, why we struggle with things, and why we struggle in different ways. Like, if someone does something that makes me react, not everyone would have reacted to that same thing.
That's
So
right.
why did I react to it? Why did that ruin my day?
Yeah.
And then it's about looking at, like, okay, like for someone else that wouldn't have bothered them. How do I get there? Or how do I, like, just kind of, how do I not let this, not that it doesn't upset me, but I don't
Mm.
react to it. Things
Yeah.
can still upset me. I am who I am.
That's
And that's
right.
it. It's understanding that you accept who you are and what you've dealt with, but it's learning to just ride the tides as they happen. So
Yeah.
it's been an amazing thing. And it's really cool. I'm happy I was able to share that today, because I truly believe now, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you better be you better be ready to do some work, because especially if you have employees, more so, and you're really trying to, motivate and be the best boss you can be, it's going to bring up a lot of reflections from your past of things you got to deal with too. And if you can't manage yourself, you can't manage other people.
Mm.
So I, though, think, though, don't be scared to do it, because see it as, if it's a little scary, that's that uncomfortability of like, ooh, I'm not going to be very good at this, but I want to be good at it. And it's going to
Mm-hmm.
teach me a lot. I'm going to dive right in, own this business, have the staff, and I'm going to go through all the motions. And this is my lesson. Like, I'm going to learn a lot, and I'm going to, like, tackle it head on.
Yeah, absolutely. And leading by example. It's such a great opportunity
Mhm.
to step into that leadership role because you're right. Business highlights all the shit. Ain't no hiding.
Yeah.
There's no hiding, especially like you
Yeah.
said, when you have employees and you're like trying to manage all of these things, it will come out, and so having these skills and being able to
Yeah.
have these processes that help you to see the triggers as opportunities to go
Totally.
deeper into ourselves and see how we can become more responsive and not always so reactive. And that shit's always going to happen. There's always going to be something that comes
Yeah.
up that was going to make us reactive, but we can lessen those times. I'm really happy that you were able to come on here and share so much of your journey and your vulnerabilities around being in business, but also being on this healing journey. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. And I also would love to hear where people can find you, and also if you have any new projects coming up that you would love for people to know about.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. It's been an honor to share a little bit more a personal side of,
Yeah.
dealing with the things that come with being an entrepreneur. And yeah, I think what you're doing is amazing. So thanks for creating a platform for people to
Mhm.
hear this sort of thing. So
Absolutely.
you can find us if you're in Calgary. We have a workshop in the central northeast. We're near Marlborough, Marlborough Mall. We teach candle making classes that you can view on our website and come learn how to blend scents and make a candle diffuser. You can purchase at our workshop and online. So our website's milkjar.ca. And some things coming down the pipe. We are going to be at the Stampede this year at the
Mm.
market there for the first time. We're going to be trying to come out with some maybe Stampede scents, perhaps a pancake breakfast. We're not sure yet. I was thinking a dill pickle would be cool. Like they have the deep fried dill
Oh,
pickles and the dill pickle scent, but I don't know if we'll go for that. We're trying to come out with a couple new products that it's not set in stone yet, so I probably shouldn't say it, but it might be something for the car,
okay.
if you get what I mean. So we're hoping to do that. Yeah, we're hoping to do that this year, this summer. We'll be at Folk Fest again at Lilac Fest. So yeah, it's summer's coming. It's getting warmer. I mean, it's gonna snow again pretty soon, but it's getting warmer now. And yeah, super duper excited to see like kind of what happens to Milk Char this year. It's been a beautiful, beautiful journey professionally and personally, and I wouldn't change it for anything. 100%.
Mm, beautiful, Holly. Well, I hope that you're able to enjoy some of the sunshine that's out there today before it snows. I think that's coming Wednesday, a big dump.
Yep.
And thank you for letting us know what is coming up for Milk Jar. I love your company. I love what you stand for. Yeah. So thank you so much for putting out your passions and yourself into the world.
Lisa,
You're welcome. So, yeah, enjoy the day and bye for now. As always, thank you so much for listening. Life is busy, so it means even more that you're carving out time in your day to be here. Listen, we've got so many great episodes coming up, so please make sure you subscribe to follow along on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And for those of you who like to watch your podcasts, we are now uploading them to YouTube. And if you appreciate these episodes, please do us a favor and leave a rating or a review and share it with anyone you think could benefit. See you again next Wednesday.